having a little bit of a problem with my computer here. And it tried to make me start two different lives, and I definitely didn't want that. So, how is everybody today? It shows we got three in here, I guess, so far. Hi, Ashley, Annette. How are you? I was having a little bit of trouble with my computer a minute ago. It was trying to get me to start two different lives, and I definitely didn't want to do that. So I had to go in and delete that last one out because I definitely didn't want it. Hi, Tricia. How are you? How are you doing this Sunday afternoon? Farm wife, hello. How are you? Yeah, yeah. How are you doing? West Columbia in the house. Yes, welcome. Got people from all over the world on my channel. Get them all in my chat. That would be really neat. That's great, Yaya. Farm wife says I'm lazy. I've been lazy too. I've just kind of not been doing a whole lot, resting up. I did put the other coat of sealant on my floor this morning, but then after that, I fixed me some breakfast, got me a cup of coffee, and I've been basically a couch potato ever since, watching TV and just being lazy. I'll put my molding in and move the furniture back in maybe tomorrow. It doesn't have to be done today. I don't feel like messing with it anyway. That kind of rhymes. Didn't intend for it to rhyme, but it did. Wonder if Gladys will make it in today. I'm hoping she's feeling lots better. TTT Sharon, hello. Good afternoon. I'm okay. A young lady I know had a heart attack and passed away, I found out today. Oh, I'm so sorry. They had to take my brother back to the hospital or the emergency room uh, earlier today. He had a slight heart attack a couple of days ago. They put him in the hospital. They kept him for like 24 hours, observed him, sent him home, and then he had to go right back because his heart was beating. It was really a fast-paced heartbeat, and it's not supposed to be doing that. So their neighbor drove him back to the hospital. They admitted him, and they're going to keep him under observation for today. And hopefully he'll be okay. I mean, he's younger than I am. He shouldn't be having a heart attack. Farm wife, you finished canning some tomatoes and you have more to do. I wish I had some to do. I didn't get any tomatoes or anything out of my garden this year to do anything with except some basil. And I do need to start getting some of that basil in and dehydrating it so I'll have basil over the winter. But I haven't had anything else to do anything with out of my garden this summer with this drought and the water restrictions. I've been getting just enough greens to keep me in greens every week. The Swiss chard and kale. Oh, I wish you could too, farm wife. I'd love to have some fresh tomatoes. Oh my goodness. There's Gladys. Speak of the devil, she shall appear. And I don't mean you're the devil, Gladys. It's just funny that I just mentioned you and all of a sudden you're in chat now. I don't know exactly what it measured at, but it was really racing to the point it scared him, and I guess it scared his wife. So rather than call the ambulance, they got their neighbor just to drive him to the hospital. But yeah, that's scary. I mean, he spent so much time looking after his wife because she's in such bad shape. But I told him, I said, you keep on. I said, you need to slow down. I said, you're going to pretty. Well, thank you, TTT Sharon. I appreciate it. Gotta have some water. It's been hot today, but not as hot as it was. It's only like 95 right now at 3 o'clock. So, hey, that's better than 105. So I'll take 95 today. Oh, with the meds, they make you fall asleep. Well, that's understandable. I'm just glad you felt like coming into chat. And there's Annie Watson. How are you? You should be getting those fishing lures anytime. I think it was Annie that I sent them to. I'm at 90, been at it since noon. Hmm. Yeah, 95, 94, 95 seems a lot better than 105 or 109. Yeah, I know, Gladys. Just yesterday. Yeah, yeah. Hi, Annie and everyone. What's it like in West Columbia? You getting any much needed rain there? You probably get more rain than what you need in West Columbia. We've been getting teased by rain twice the last couple of weeks, but it didn't rain enough to really wet the ground. So it really didn't do the plants any good, didn't get it down to the roots or anything. 93 with a breeze. Oh, that sounds good. I was sitting over there on the couch and I was kind of dozing off every once in a while. And I had my little alarm clock set for 2:45 so I would not fall asleep and sleep through my live this afternoon. And it woke me up. But I could have went to sleep. I tell you, it would have been real easy. Yeah, I am too. I never would have dreamed I'd have heard that he had a light heart attack because he's a couple of years younger than I am. I would have figured something like that would have happened to me way before him. But age really doesn't matter. It's just the kind of shape you're in. Your lifestyle, your workload, your stress load, and everything else. Yeah, I work hard, but it's a way that I keep from being stressed. It's a unstressor for me to do the work. But yeah, I was pushing myself a little bit with the floor. So I'm gonna start taking it easy for the next few days. Like I said, I'm gonna put the molding back in tomorrow probably. And then I'm gonna move the furniture back in. I'm not gonna worry anymore with the floor. And I'm not gonna do any more floors for a while. I'll have partial wood floors for right now until I decide later that I don't like wood floors, I guess. Yeah, we've had 3 months of triple digit weather here too. At least 2 months. We had 59 days straight of triple digit temperatures. And we broke it for 2 days. We dropped down to like 98, 99. And then the very next day it was back up to 105. So everything here is so dry, it's unreal. I mean, my yard, the grass is not even crispy anymore. It's powder. It was crispy for a while, and when you walked across the yard and you hit that dead grass, it just crunched under your feet like potato chips. Now you can't tell you're walking out there because it's powder. It just disintegrated the grass. Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, when you don't get rain and it gets so hot, everything dies. And I've got crepe myrtle trees that I have my doubts about. I know they're tough, but I'm just hoping they come back to life when we do get some rain. Grass is black powder. Mine is not quite black, but it's powder already. Yeah, my eyes are always swollen from allergies and everything else. Yeah, it's hot. It gets hot when it stays hot for 2 or 3 months at a time and no let up. I'm just praying this coming week we get some decent rain so it'll revive my garden, and maybe some of the seeds that I've planted that have not tried to come up will come up and survive this time. Annie, you have an echo on your heart. Huh. Wonder what's causing that. I might cook after this live is over. I got to cook me some dinner. I don't know what I want yet. I may cook beef stew, or I may cook just some beef, vegetable beef stew, soup. I don't know. But yeah, we all need to keep Annie in our prayers. Oh, no. Yeah, usually when the ground gets so dry, you get cracks in it. And the longer it goes cracked with no rain, the wider the cracks get. Can I make pancakes? I may make pancakes one day just for you, Gladys. I don't know what's wrong with my computer. It keeps buffering, but my phones don't do it. So I don't know. I haven't made pancakes in a while. I guess I need to make some one day. I told you I almost went to sleep on the couch a while ago. If the alarm hadn't have startled me, I probably would have fallen asleep. Gladys says she thinks she watches all of my videos. Well, I've got almost 600 videos out there, so that's a lot of watching. Farm wife, your husband thinks pancakes are winter food. Well, a lot of people think stew and soup and a lot of that stuff is wintertime food, but I tell you, I like a lot of it and I'll eat it any time of the year. I don't care. I've been making the fried bread. It's delicious. Well, good. I like it too. I like it too much. That's the reason I hold back trying to make it very often because I love to eat it. Well, thank you. Thank you for using my recipe, Yaya. I'm gonna fall asleep here during my live, y'all. You're gonna do chicken and dumplings? That sounds good. I've had chicken and dumplings on my mind for about a week now. I guess it's almost time to think about cooking some more. I haven't fixed it in a while. Well, in fact, I've not fixed chicken and dumplings since that last video I did on it, which has been a while ago. I love chicken and dumplings. Well, hi, Derek. How are you? I'm doing fine. I'm a little sleepy. Like I was telling everybody, I was sitting on the couch and I had the alarm set so if I fell asleep, I wouldn't sleep past the live. And about the time the alarm went off is when I was just about ready to doze off. So, golly. Linda, check out my comment from back. On what video, Judy? Because the only way I can check comments, I think, is to go back to whatever video it was you commented on and check the comments there. Yeah, I haven't made peanut butter cookies in a long time. Well, I try to do something different, not a repeat of what I've already done, but I might make some more peanut butter cookies pretty soon and do the recipe a little bit different. Well, hi, Randy. Praying for you. Yeah, I'm coughing a little bit, not a lot. And I did get your letter, Randy. Thank you very much. Derek says, I love dumplings and cookies for me, hint, hint. I know you have an ulterior motive, Gladys. I was wondering if you'd be able to get into the live today, Randy. I know you have some crazy work hours, so probably when you're not working, you're sleeping, so. And there's Mrs. Weaver. Hello. Gumbo. I like gumbo. I like seafood gumbo, chicken gumbo, shrimp gumbo. It was a nice surprise. Thank you, Randy. I know the hours you work, I can't imagine. Years ago, when I was a youngin', basically, I worked at an electronics plant, and my shift was like at 3:30 to midnight. But then every once in a while, the manager would come through and he says, I need you to stay and work the next shift. So that meant I worked from 3 or 3:30 in the afternoon till about 7 the next morning. Or whenever, that next shift started, which was after midnight, about 1 o'clock, and ran on for 8 hours till in the morning. And I'd get home sometimes and I'd have to ask my mom. I said, Mom, what day is it? I said, I work such crazy hours, I don't even know what day it is anymore. Oh, you're fine, Mrs. Weaver. You're here. That's all that matters. You sometimes forget the days too. I know when I'd ask Mama what day it was, she'd give me the funniest look. It's like, well, what's wrong with you? You don't know what day it is. I said, Mama, I work such crazy hours and I'm working at night most of the time, all night long. And then I don't remember one day to the next what day it is. I get mixed up on my days. I mean, when you go to work one day and it's the next day when you get home, it gets kind of crazy, after a while, if you do it very much. Y'all talking about sending Gladys cookies? I'm glad she feels like eating cookies after being sick. Judy Kirk says, I was watching you this morning doing the floor. My husband comes in the house, washed by the TV, and looked, and he goes over her again. Hmm. Yeah, I'm a I've done that occasionally in the last year. I get busy doing one thing and another. I don't pay attention to what day it is because I don't have to be at work anymore. I'm just not paying attention to what day it is. And I have to look at my calendar on my phone to make sure that it's Wednesday or make sure it's Thursday or make sure it's Tuesday because I have to put my garbage out on Tuesday evening so they'll pick it up on Wednesday to make sure I have it out there in plenty of time. I did it again. It will come up. You like my white Christmas tree, my Lady Gaga Christmas tree? Well, I might have to put my green tree up this year. I usually try to alternate so I don't put the same one up every year. I mean, there's been a few times that I got by Tuesday and I didn't realize that it was Wednesday till I heard the garbage truck stop will come by the house, and they won't stop if your garbage can is not out beside the street, because they're not allowed to come up in your yard. And he told me one day, he said, "Ma'am, I know you forgot to put it out, and I could see your garbage can, but," he said, "we're not allowed to come in the yard to get it." He said it's got to be out, beside the street. So I told him, don't worry about it. Probably won't be the first or last time I'll forget or let Tuesday evening slip by me. Trying to get me a cough drop, so I don't cough so much trying to talk. I've been wearing my mask. I wore it all night and I wore it all day except for now, so it's helped quite a bit. Because since I put another coat of that sealant on the floor, you could smell it in the house. And I've got fans going and I've got the exhaust fan going, but it's really too hot to open the windows. Well, Bloomin' didn't show up at the live yesterday, because she wasn't feeling good. She ate ice cream when a diabetic is not supposed to eat ice cream, and it made her really sick. So she may still not feel well. I'm not familiar with diabetics and how things react on them, so I don't know how long it'll take it to wear off of her, for her to feel better. Well, hi, Anna's Mobile Home Life. How are you doing? Oh, that's okay. It wasn't planned. I just decided to do it at the last minute. Yeah, she just said she was too sick yesterday, so I imagine she's still not feeling 100% today. Yeah, me and my pop-ups. You never know when I'm going to go live, at the spur of the moment, whenever I feel like doing it. Oh, you had a home showing yesterday and had to prepare for it. Well, that's okay. How did it go? Try lighting a candle between you and the floor. It will help get rid of some of the fumes, I believe. I might go up in flames too. No, I'm joking. It's not that bad. I mean, my brother, my younger brother that just had the light heart attack, his name is Michael, but we always called him Mike. And they had to take him back to the hospital today because his heart was racing really fast. And they're keeping him in there today for, I guess, today for observation. Maybe they'll let him come home tomorrow. They came back again today. She wanted to bring her fiance. Oh, that sounds good. Sounds promising. Yeah, like I said, he's a couple years younger than me, so I never expected to hear that he had a light heart attack. But his wife has been really sick for many years now, and he's been taking care of her. taking care of the house, doing the cooking, doing the cleaning, doing the gardening. And I even told one of my other brothers, I said, if Mike don't slow down, I said, his wife's going to outlive him, even as sick as she is, because he's just working himself into the ground. I mean, there's a limit on how much one person can do before the good Lord says you need to sit down and take it easy. I believe in magic. Yeah, and his wife can't drive him to the hospital. So I don't know if their neighbor was there, their good friend Lisa. She was the one that drove him to the hospital. Barbara couldn't go because she's too, she's got a lot of health problems. So, yeah, I texted him at the hospital. He texted back and said they were keeping him for observation. So hopefully he'll be okay. Yeah, all things in moderation. That's what I try to do, Randy. That's the reason it's taken me so long to get this floor done. I could have rushed around and killed myself and did it in one day, but that wouldn't have helped, would it? So I just spread it out. And, I got a mess in my house right now because everything in from that bedroom is out in the hallway. Out in the hallway and in this other bedroom down the hall, or down here at the other end of the house. So it's a job getting through the hallway right now because I got the bed, the dresser, and some other stuff there. But, hey, it's there till I move it. No one else cares, so. I'll get the molding put back in tomorrow, and then I'll probably get the bed and stuff moved back in. And then, like I was telling everybody else earlier, and then I'm done doing floors for a while. I mean, I got other stuff to do, some more floors, but it's not something that's urgent that has to be done right now. So I'm going to take a break from the floor work. Cough drop's not working. And Randy, I must admit, when I saw the return address on your letter, I couldn't believe I've never heard of the town you live in. It's an odd name for a town. Well, thank you, Yaya. I like wood, so, I didn't mind doing that. I preferred to do it in tongue and groove knotty pine wood, but it's too expensive. Talking about a mess, when I cook in my videos, boy, do I make a mess. Yeah, I make a mess too. I try to clean. That's why I'm cleaning up while I'm cooking. Because my kitchen is little, and when I make a mess, I got a mess in the whole kitchen. Yeah, I know. That or those little round coasters they have. They have felt on the bottom of them, and I think it's plastic on the top. Gladys, you're unreal. Gladys says I take a nap and then when I get up, cook some peanut butter cookies. Well, I wanted to put the wood down anyway, but I couldn't afford to put the plywood down and then get knotty pine to go on top of it. Because I tell you what, I price knotty pine boards. They're outrageously expensive. And I know my dad built their house years and years ago, and it's got knotty pine tongue and groove boards throughout that whole house. In fact, the floors are double floors. They've not only got plywood down, but then they've got a double layer of knotty pine tongue and groove boards, because he put them like one direction, and then he came back with a second and come across the opposite direction to make the floor even stronger. You're allergic to pine? Well, I've never been allergic to pine that I know of. Well, I am too. Or I know I'm allergic to cedar. But I got one of these pine trees for Christmas one year. I thought I'd be different. And this was back in North Carolina. And back there, we always went in the woods and cut our own tree. We didn't go buy a tree. And this year I decided, well, some of these pine trees are really nice looking. So I found a really nice pine tree that had really nice branches out on it that would look good as a Christmas tree. And I cut it and brought it back to the house. I put it in the house, and I didn't think it smelled much like a pine. So I put one of those pine scented things that you can hang in your car. It smells like pine. I hung it in the tree. Oh my God, by that evening I was sicker than a dog. My head hurt. I was feeling nauseated. And it was all that pine scent that I put in that tree. So I took the pine scent thing out and threw it away. Got it out of the house. I opened the windows and aired the house out. The pine tree was fine. I could keep the tree in there. But that other thing, it drove me out of the house. You enjoy my stories? Yeah, I don't have real trees in my house anymore. Really, they make too much of a mess. And then I had a cat in the house, and I had one cat. Every time I put my tree up, I could leave the house and come home. My tree was in the floor because my cat tried to climb the tree. He didn't know it wasn't a real tree. It was a tree to him. So he was going to climb the tree, and he'd pull it over in the floor every time. I don't have that problem now. Of course, little buddy wasn't in the house last year, and he's not going to be in the house around a Christmas tree this year either. He'll have to take his little self right outside. Well, my dad put not only the knotty pine tongue and groove boards down in the floor of the house, but in the living room, he put it up on the walls, and I loved it. I thought it was beautiful, but my mom didn't like it. She didn't like the wood. So he had to cover the tongue and groove knotty pine boards up with carpet, and then he put sheetrock over the wood on the wall. And do you know the people that own the house now, they pull the carpet up because they were going to change out the floor. And when they saw knotty pine tongue and groove board floors in that house, they literally had a fit. They said, "Oh my God, those are beautiful floors. How could you ever cover them up with carpet?" So they took all the carpet out, and they just left the wood floors, which I'm happy they did. And my mom told them that, she said, "Well, it's on the walls too, but it's behind the sheetrock." And I'm downstairs we went out and cut down a Christmas tree after everyone had gone to bed between my kids and my husband. The cats, there was a ruckus of unimaginable belief, and I am downstairs. Find that somehow there was now a chipmunk whistling under our stove with a cat on both sides. That's funny. What did you do with the chipmunks and the cats? I couldn't imagine all that going on downstairs in my house. What did you do with your chipmunk? How'd you get him out from under your stove? I could only imagine, Randy. I could just imagine that ruckus going on. Yeah, mine is too for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe there's a storm between everybody and me. I don't know. At least it's not buffering. Yes, I have for some reason. Yesterday and today. Like I was watching some videos on my laptop, and all of a sudden it would start buffering, and then I'd get the message, something about the internet. I know. I wonder where John Ray is. And Wilkes County boy. Maybe they figured if I wasn't going to sing, they weren't going to show up. That's probably why they showed up the last Sunday. They thought I was going to be singing. Yeah, mine has too, yesterday and today. Something awful. I don't know why. I don't know why it's doing that. Something's going on with the internet. Griswold Christmas. Randy says the cats got locked in the bathroom with the water bowl and litter box, and I propped the back door open. And sometime between 1 and 4 a.m., he must have freed himself. He probably wanted to get out just as bad as you wanted him out. Well, before I got my ductwork fixed, back years ago when I first moved in this place, this house, I didn't know that the underpinning, the ductwork had been pulled loose in one spot. And I had possums and raccoons and stuff that would get under the house. I heard all kind of racket going on in my bedroom one night. And this was after I was divorced, so there was nobody here but me. Well, my kids were here. They were in the other end of the house, asleep. And I reached over, turned the bedroom light on, and looked down where I heard the ruckus coming from, and it was the air conditioner vent. I looked down in the vent, and you could see these eyes looking up through the little slits in the vent cover. He'd looking up at me. There was a possum in my vent. And he was trying to push the vent cover up to where he could come in. And it's a good thing that that one was had been fastened down, so he couldn't open it. But after that is when I got out and I checked every inch of the underpinning around my house, and I barricaded every spot that I felt any kind of animal could possibly get under my house. And I had one come up in the kitchen vent one time, and I didn't have it fastened down, and I could hear him pushing on it and hear the vent fall and keep hitting the floor. And I walked in the kitchen, and sure enough, there was a possum in the vent trying to push the cover up to get in the floor. So I quickly just put the chair over it, the chair leg over the vent, so he couldn't push it up. And I made all kind of racket of my own and sprayed bug spray and everything else down the vent to get him to go out. But I've got it all fixed now. That there's nowhere around this house anywhere right now that any of those animals can get in. And I had a guy go under the house at one time, and he secured all the ductwork back up the way it's supposed to be. So hopefully, even if one of the animals get in the vent, they can't, if they get under the house, they can't get in the vent. Hopefully. Oh my God, yeah. A snake in your bedroom. Oh, I'd be moving. I know my internet has been terrible the last day or so. I don't know what's going on with it. I guess I'm going to have to call the cable company and find out what's going on with the Wi-Fi. No, I couldn't handle a snake getting in my bed or my room, my house. No way. Nuh-uh. I see that happening, I'm moving somewhere else. And it's weird that you had mentioned that happened to you, because it happened to my aunt in North Carolina. She had a screen door on her kitchen door. And a lot of times she'd leave the door open and just keep the screen door shut so air could come into the kitchen. And she left her door open one day and just latched the outside of the screen door, thinking she was going to keep anything from going in. And she went down the road to my grandmother's house, who lived right there close. But you know what? She didn't pay any attention to her bedrooms or anything later that day until that night. She went in her bedroom to go to bed, and there was a great big rattlesnake curled up in her bed. I said, "What in the world did you do?" And I don't remember how she got rid of him. I don't know if she ended up getting him off the bed and shot the snake, or had somebody else to get it out for her, or what. But no, I ever see a snake curled up on my bed or in my house, I'm out of here. I'm sorry. And my brother, right, not long after he moved his double wide manufactured home where it's at, he went in his bathroom to the master bedroom one night when he got home to take a shower. And there was a baby rattlesnake under his sink on the floor. He was small enough that he came up the little hole that was in the floor beside the pipe. I said, man, I couldn't handle that. And he said, you don't usually see snakes around his house anywhere, but that one came up the pipe. So needless to say, he spent quite a bit of time going around making sure all the little holes were stuffed or covered or filled with something to where no more snakes had any access to his house. No, my Aunt Gladys was the one that found him. She went in her bedroom to go to bed, and there was the snake curled up in her bed. I mean, my Uncle Pete may have been home. I don't know. He may have been the one that got the snake out. But she didn't mention, I don't remember, because that was been many, many years ago. But I do remember she said that snake was curled up in her bed. Now, I've had scorpions get in my house years ago when I first moved here. And I had one get on my pillow when I was in the bed at night. And I could feel something on my hand, and I pushed my hand around and just like that, you know. I thought it was a spider or something. And I got up and turned the light on, and I looked and looked to see what it was that was crawling. And just before I left the light on and laid down in the bed, because I had already stripped everything off my bed to make sure there was nothing left on my bed. And I even made the bed back. I laid down on the bed, left the light on, and when I looked up at the ceiling, there was the scorpion. When he got on my arm, and I did like that across the pillow and flung backwards, it flew him up on the ceiling. So I went and got the broom and got him down, and I killed him. I mean, that was a dead scorpion. But there was one other night before that happened that I got up. My husband, because we were still married at the time, was asleep, and I was sleeping on the wall side of the bed. So that meant I had to slide down to the foot of the bed to step off to go to the bathroom. And when I put my foot down and went to stand up, I stepped on a scorpion. And he stung me up through my heel. And it felt like somebody jammed a hot dagger up past my knee. It hurt so bad. And it made me kind of shaky and kind of like you're coming down with the flu for like 2 weeks after that. But then I was fine. And I was afraid because I'd never been stung by a scorpion before. I didn't know how poisonous they were. And I told my husband, I said, look, I've just been stung by that scorpion. I probably need to go to the emergency room. He said, no, you'll be fine. He said, they're poisonous, but they're not deadly here. And we have the tan-looking scorpions here, and they are somewhat poisonous. I mean, they'll let you know that they stung you, and you'll have a problem like I did. You'll feel shaky and irritable, and your leg will hurt wherever they sting you for a while. But they're not deadly. So I kind of got over my fear of scorpions with that. I said, well, I got stung one time. I'm still here. But now, like you go toward Mexico, those black-looking scorpions, those are the ones that are deadly. You don't want to mess with a black scorpion. They will kill you just like a rattlesnake will. Snake man. I would have a big shotgun hole wherever that snake was. Well, I'm sure my aunt probably got my Uncle Pete, because he was still alive back then. She probably got him to get rid of that snake. But could you imagine walking in your bedroom, flip the bedroom light on and walk in getting ready to go to bed, and there's this big rattlesnake curled up in your bed? Oh, yeah, that would be too much. Double dang. To me, the only good snake is a dead snake. I don't care what kind they are. I don't like snakes. I guess one reason is because there's too many of them, and sometimes you can't tell which ones are poisonous and which ones aren't. I know they claim you can tell by their eyes, but I don't know. I don't trust it. Yeah, I was kind of afraid of the snakes around here when we first moved here because every once in a while you'd see a water moccasin on the street, but it would be a dead one. It'd be where a car had hit it. But I never really saw any around the house that were alive or anything. And now we've got so many people that have moved into this area. They pretty well keep the snakes at bay. You don't usually have a snake in your yard. I've been sleeping on my couch ever since. Oh no, you almost stood on that snake? Oh gosh. Well, when I did live in North Carolina, when I was married to my first husband, we had put a new mobile home beside his parents' house. And I had cinder blocks stacked for steps. And I started to come out the front door one day, and it's a good thing I looked down because I opened the door, pushed it out, raised my right foot up, went to take a step down, and thank God I looked down for some reason. I looked down. There was a rattlesnake curled up on that top step. And if I'd have put my foot down, I would have stepped on him. Needless to say, I froze. I raised my foot back up and I put it back behind me. I took a step backwards and then I just jumped as far as I could jump over the steps into the yard while I shut the door behind me to get clear of that snake. And I went next door to tell my in-laws that there was a rattlesnake on the step. But by the time we got back over there, the snake had moved. I don't know where he went, but he was not on the step, and we didn't see him under the house anywhere because it wasn't underpinned yet. And never did see the snake after that. I don't know what happened to him, where he went. But good riddance to him. I didn't want to ever see him again. Do you get a special wish? Well, I guess you can make a special wish, Gladys. What would it be? Well, I have real bad allergies too, and that's what I was telling my husband. I said, when I got stung by that scorpion, I was sick for 2 weeks. I mean, I was up and around. I'd go down to the pool with my kids, but I felt shaky. I felt like I had the pure shakes and I felt weak. And I know it was from that scorpion bite or sting. But they said that's kind of how they do that type of scorpion. They're not deadly, but they have enough poisonous venom that they inject in you that it does make you a little sick. And since I have bad allergies, I didn't know how much of it would have been an allergic reaction to that scorpion. So it kind of scared me, but he kept saying, no, no, you'll be fine, you'll be fine. And I never did go to the ER. And I was okay. After about 2 weeks, I was fine. But I never want to encounter another one by stepping on it, that's for sure. Peanut butter cookies, of course. Well, see, I'd never been around scorpions before, never been stung by one before. That was my first time. And like I said, I've got severe allergies, and I didn't know how allergic I would have been to that, but I survived it. Farm wife, you'll be checking your bed when you go to bed tonight. You'll be looking on your bed to make sure there's nothing there. Yeah, my wish for Gladys is that she never gets food poisoning again. Like I said, I guess everyone showed up last Sunday because they thought I was going to sing last Sunday. And I mentioned singing, but I didn't say I was going to sing last Sunday. I've got to get my allergies in check before I do much singing anymore. Definitely quit working on this floor and get situated before I do. Miss Weaver says she knows she'd be checking her bed. Well, I've had scorpions to come up in the bathtub when we first moved here. I'd go in there sometimes to take a shower or take a bath, and I'd have to literally get the scorpion out of the bathtub before I could take a bath. Quick try recipe for anyone who likes apple pie. Try using apple butter and make it like a grilled cheese sandwich. Butter 2 pieces of bread and 2 tablespoons apple butter. Huh. I have to try that. Never tried it before. But I used to eat apple butter all the time. My mom used to buy it all the time. I kind of got out of the habit of buying it myself, because my kids usually wouldn't eat it. Y'all says, oh geez, I was thinking earlier that I should move back into my bedroom, but I've changed my mind listening to these stories. Well, I learned real fast when I opened the kitchen cabinet to watch out for the scorpions, because they had a habit of getting in a bowl or a coffee cup, and once they get in it, they can't get out of it. The porcelain is too slippery, so once they get in it, they stay in it until you get them out or until they die. So it was nothing when I first moved here to get a bowl or a coffee cup out of the cabinet and there'd be a scorpion in it. But I guarantee you he was a dead scorpion when I got through with him. I don't see them anymore. Like I said, a lot of the scorpions, the snakes, tarantulas, all that, you don't see them now. There's too many people around. There was one scorpion that I called it Tarantula Crossing, because he right at the edge of dark, just about the edge of dark, just as the sun went down, and it was just before it got dark, there would be a scorpion would cross the street. He'd come down my sidewalk. He'd walk the whole length of my lot here and then go back out down toward the back of the lot and keep going straight. And I know where he was going, because if he kept going that way, he was going to go to the creek or he'd end up at the lake. But he'd come through here every evening at the same time. And I was out walking one evening, and I was down 3 blocks down from me in the direction where that scorpion would come from, the tarantula would come from. And there was a little boy out there playing in the street, and it was that tarantula. And I said, well, that must be the one that comes crossing my yard every evening about this time. I said, it's about the time for him to, end up down at my house. He said, yeah, he comes up here every day, every evening about dark. I said, that's him. But somebody must have killed him a long time ago. He probably got hit by a car or something, because I don't see him anymore. Cream cheese and jelly stuffed French toast is delicious. I've never tried that. I'm going to have to try it. Cream cheese and jelly stuffed French toast. That does sound good. I love cream cheese and jelly, and I love French toast, so why not put them together? Y'all says I'm terrified. Farm wife says I'm going to make caramel apple dip. Farm wife's after your heart, Randy. Yeah, I'm going to have to try it. Sounds good. Oops, Carmel. Some more water over here. You can do peanut butter and jelly stuffed French toast. Well, yeah, that sounds good too because I like peanut butter and jelly. I put cream cheese, shredded cheese, and bacon bits in stuffed mushrooms. I like mushrooms, but I try not to. I don't usually buy them. Sometimes, if I'm out at a restaurant, I will order hors d'oeuvres of the stuffed mushrooms, and I might eat a couple of them because I'm a little allergic to mushrooms, so I don't eat many of them at all. You think you have a video making it? I'll have to watch that. Well, you have a good night, Randy. Have a good day at work. I know you got to get some rest, that's for sure. But I'm glad you could show up this time. I was kind of thinking of you when I went ahead and scheduled it for 3 o'clock today because I said, well, maybe Randy can make this one. Bye, Randy, and I hope you have a fantastic week this week, too, yourself. Yeah, I've watched a couple of your videos, Anna, Anna's Mobile Home Life. Yeah, I watched a couple of them. I'm going to have to go back and find the one on your French toast. It'll just make me hungry and want some, so I'll have to fix it. Yeah, I like trying new recipes, especially when it has all the ingredients of everything I like to eat anyway. I don't know if I'm the best cook, Gladys. I'm sure there's other cooks better than me out there. Don't have any nightmares, Randy, of us talking about scorpions and tarantulas and snakes. Get some good sleep so you can go to work. And his channel's okay. Yeah, it's pretty neat. Like I said, I watched a couple of her videos. Whenever I get time to watch them, I'm stay so busy doing everything and doing my own videos. I don't have a lot of time to watch other people's, but I do my best. Sometimes I got two going at one time. You'll be okie dokie. Well, good. We'll want to see you back in the next live chat. What did I eat today? I ate a piece of fried chicken earlier. I really didn't cook anything. And I did scramble an egg and put it on a bun and ate that this morning, first thing. But that was way early. Because I woke up before dark and I couldn't go back to sleep. So I got up and I was in here eating breakfast when it come daylight. I was drinking a cup of coffee and eating a ham and cheese, not a ham and cheese, a egg and cheese sandwich for breakfast. And then later, about 11 or so, I ate a piece of fried chicken. So I'm getting a little hungry. Didn't eat a lot today. April Flowers says she's doing chores and listening. Well, I'm glad you could pop in. And Ruth Star, glad you could make it. You're 100% Ruth Star. I would have to be in my 70s, and I am. My daughter's actually, what, 55? Yeah, I'm probably going to make my vegetable beef soup, or I'm either going to make beef stew. I don't know which yet. Earth Wisdom, I'm in Texas. You're in Nevada, so you're in a hot state too. We've had nothing but hot weather here in Texas where I'm at. I'm in north central Texas, and we had 59 days straight of triple digit weather. It's almost 40. You made beef stew and cornbread last week? Well, I haven't made beef stew in ages, and I've been thinking about it for about a week or so. So I finally bought a small package of beef stew when I was at the grocery store. And I said, I'm going to have to cook some and do me a video on it. Show people my simple country way of fixing my beef stew. I've watched some people make beef stew and it takes them forever. They go through all this ritual of you got to do your beef this way and you got to do you this way and you got to do that. I thought to myself, if I did all that before I fixed beef stew, I'd never eat any. So I'm going to have to make my video on the way I fix it. You're making cowgirl coffee? I've tried making that once or twice because I didn't want to make a whole pot. I didn't like the grounds, so I didn't do it anymore. I like biscuits or rolls with my beef stew. Annie says she puts everything in the crock pot and walks away. That's easy enough. I usually take my beef stew and throw it in the pressure cooker, cook it for about 20 minutes. Because when I want beef stew, I want beef stew and I want it now. I don't want to wait till tomorrow to eat it. May I have a plate of stew? Yes, ma'am, you can. When I get it done, you can help me eat it. I know I watched, who was it? The Outdoor Review. I like to watch him sometimes, and he made cowboy candy on there one time, and he showed people how to tap the pot or either put a little bit of cold water in the top, and the grounds will settle to the bottom. You just remember you don't drink the last cup of coffee because it's going to be nothing but grounds. My instant coffee's better. It's easier. Or I just throw some in the coffee, the Mr. Coffee, and make it. I'm sure it does work. I mean, I've seen people do it, but. And you know, I used to have to make coffee in the old timey percolators. Y'all, a lot of you may not have ever seen one, but they're just the aluminum pots that have the little basket at the top of the stem that you put your coffee in the top, put your lid on it, and you could see the coffee coming up through the little glass thing at the top. I remember years and years ago, when I was a teenager, that's the only kind of that's the only way you could make coffee was in an old timey percolator. UPS delivery, West Columbia, Linda's beef stew. Well, I still had a percolator, and I just basically kept it to take it camping. And I just took it out one day for the heck of it, and I made me a pot of coffee in it. And I tried that first cup, and I said, "How did we ever drink that?" Maybe it's because I didn't let the ground settle enough before I poured my first cup. It seemed like it still had coffee grounds in it. I didn't like it. Yeah, I said if I take it camping, I'm going to just use it to heat water and I'll use my instant coffee. I'm spoiled. And it's funny because when I was talking about camping, my brother says, well, one time when I drove home, I had all my camping gear in the back of my car. I was going to camp out on my property in North Carolina, but it was too grown up. The underbrush, you couldn't even walk through there. And there was no way I could clean it off to put a tent down. So I stayed at his house, and he saw that I had all that camping gear in the back of the car. And he said, well, there's no way you could have camped up there. I said, I know. And we got to talking, and he said, well, I think I'd rather stay with somebody than to have to camp out. I said, well, I don't actually camp. I go glamping. I don't know if any of y'all have heard the new term of glamping. It's GLAMPING. It's not camping anymore. You take all the conveniences of home with you, and you have this big room-sized tent. You're not hovered down in a little 3-foot tall tent. My tent is about 7 foot tall, and it expands 14 feet. Earth Wisdom says, I watched the floor videos and toilet. Well, you know, necessity makes you learn stuff. I got tired of these. Well, like I said, for years I had good repairmen, but my plumber, he died. So I never have found a good plumber after he's gone. Well, I'd take that back. I did find one after that, but he come here and did one job, and he said he wasn't going to do plumbing work anymore because his wife was sick. And at their age, he was just going to stay home with her. So I don't have him to call. And I just get tired of these repair guys ripping you off. So now, if I can possibly do it myself, I'm going to do it. And a lot of times, you know, I do it better than the repairman does. Because if he comes here and he just makes things worse so he can come back and fix it again, I'm better off doing it myself the first time. Go buy me a steak dinner with what I would have paid him and be better off. So, I mean, there's some jobs I can't do. I mean, you know, I know that. Like, I couldn't take my water heater out when I needed it out. That cost me $800. Like $840 for them just to take the water heater out and fix part of the floor under it and put it back. I mean, I know it was hard work, but still, $800, $840 to do that. And then I supplied all the materials. They didn't even buy materials to use. Yeah, I could go glamping. I had rugs to put down in my tent. I had my cot with my foam pad. I wasn't sleeping on the ground. I can't sleep on the ground with my back. I had a fan, a battery operated fan if I got hot. I had a little gas heater if I got cold. I know, it's awful. I called a guy just from a plumbing place. He stopped by here to fix the drain in my tub. And he said, well, I can tell you right now, it's going to cost you at least $600. I said, I don't think so. I said, you can leave now. And you know what? He went out there and told his boss that was in the truck that I ran him out of the house. I didn't run him out. He just told me $600. I said, that's too much. And I said, you could leave now. I mean, I got it fixed, and it did cost me money. It cost me $400 to get it fixed. But wasn't 600. And they could have done it for less than 400. If it had been my old plumber, he probably wouldn't have charged me even 100. I mean, he usually charged like $80 for the first hour. And if it run into the second hour, he charged you another 80 plus whatever he used to fix it. But usually the jobs he did for me, he had done in less than an hour. And the parts were not that expensive. So he usually did repairs for me for less than $100. I mean, there's good people out there, don't get me wrong, but you got to do your homework. You got to go out there and find them. Because they're far and in between. These big businesses, a lot of them will rip you off. I mean, they don't stop to realize if they do a good job and they charge a reasonable price, they'd have customers. They'd have more customers than they'd want. But when you rip somebody off and you charge them an outrageous price, and they realize you've ripped them off, they're never calling you again. I mean, I won't. I'll call someone else. Yeah, but I really didn't chase him off. I told him it was too much. And I just said, you could leave now. I mean, there was nothing for him to do, so. I didn't run him out. I mean, run him off, so to speak, but I just told him he could leave now. Plain and simple, you could leave now. And I know that happened to my son. He lives in a different town. uh, his bathtub, the wall where the shower spout and the tub spout and all that is the wall. On the other side of it is his furnace. And you have access to those pipes through that. They came in and they told him $600 to fix his faucet, and they'd have to cut a hole in the wall. Now, you tell me why they got to cut a hole in the wall when all they got to do is go through the closet that the furnace is in, and they have access to the pipes. That's the same thing that guy told me when he told me $600. And he said, we're going to have to cut a hole in your wall. I said, no, you're not. I said, you have access to those pipes from the closet outside. You don't need to cut a hole in it. Oh, we don't do that. We just cut a hole in it. I'm like, no, you're not. The guy cut a hole in my son's wall, put the part that he cut out back up there, and then put tape around it and left it. Now, this is in a shower at a bathtub. And I told the guy, you're not cutting a hole in mine, because I know you didn't need to do that. And you didn't. The guy come and fixed the faucet, because the faucet, really, there was nothing wrong with it except the little stem thing that was in it. He worked on that a little bit or something, and it's been fine ever since. And he replaced the drain. He never had to go through, well, he did go through the outside closet to get to the drain pipe under the tub. But he charged me $400, and he didn't cut a hole in the wall. You were married for 40 years, April. You're in the school of hard knocks. I mean, after you slowly watch your bank account dwindle away because these guys want your money, it gets old after a while, and I'm tired of paying it. I can't pay it anymore. Oh, your husband passed away 2 years ago. I'm sorry about that. Yes, April, you have my condolences. I'm sorry to hear your husband passed away. Yeah, I'm all for you doing it yourself. I mean, if you can do it yourself, why pay someone else to come in and do it for you? I mean, you can't do everything, but there's a lot of things women can do for themselves that they don't have to get a repairman in to do, if they just do it. Yeah, I watched my dad do a lot of carpentry work. I helped him do a lot of carpentry work when I was a young girl. And when my plumbers come out here, they usually are friends of mine that I know that are plumbers, and they're honest people. I watch what they do. So I know, like, if it's anything I can do the next time, I'll do it myself. Your husband and you will be married for 58 years the end of this month. Well, oh my goodness, farm wife. Congratulations. I know my brother, my older brother, and his wife were married for about that long. when she passed away Christmas Eve, this past Christmas Eve. I mean, when you've been with a person for that long, that's a lifetime. I mean, it's hard when you lose someone after being with them for that long. 58 years. That's a lifetime, girl. Don't send me a sympathy card. Just kidding. I mean, I've done a lot of things since I've been single. I've been single for longer than I was ever married, I guess, because I was married twice. I was only married 10 years each time. So, and I've been married for divorced for 40 years now or longer. I tell everybody I'm a professional single person. And I've learned to do a lot of stuff myself over those years. Believe you me. Yeah, it is. You miss some of the things you don't think you would miss. 40 years, that's why I'm crazy now. I know that it's devastating. And my poor brother, he even posted on Facebook. He said, I wake up in the middle of the night and I roll over and put my arm out like he always did before to put his arm around Johnny, because that was his wife's name, Johnny. And she's not there. Yeah, you've been together over 50 years. That's a long time. Because I remember years ago, it was quite a few years ago, they celebrated their golden wedding anniversary. That was 50 years. So it probably was 57, somewhere along in there, that they would be married now if she was still alive. Anna says she's been single for 3 years now. Well, I tell you, it was devastating when I ended up divorced, because it was like waking up from a nightmare or something. I don't know. Everything was going along fine. He was a little abusive, mentally and physical, but I could have dealt with that. But the fact that he was running around for God knows how long with other women is beyond me. And then we got in that one argument that last time and got into a knockdown, drag out fist fight, to tell you the truth. That's when he packed up and left. I guess he figured it was getting too hot and heavy. I started defending myself, and he left and married that other woman. And he divorced her after they were married for about 3 months, because all she wanted was his money. She went through his bank account like it was water. She went through his checking account, spending every dime he had. He finally had to cancel out his credit cards. He had to close out his checking account and fix it so she didn't have access to it. It got bad. But then he wanted to come talk to me, like we had something to talk about. And I said, no, we don't have anything to talk about anymore. Because I never would have trusted him again after that. But when you divorce like that, and you didn't expect it, and all of a sudden you've got your kids, and you're in a state 12,000 miles away from your home or 1,200 miles away from your home state, no family. It's devastating. It's almost like your spouse died because he didn't help anymore. You know, I was on my own with my 2 kids. I guess I was almost in a state of shock in the beginning. Well, it's just me now here and little buddy when he decides to come visit. I think he's over on the couch now sleeping. He came a little earlier, got him something to eat, and then laid down, took him a nap. Yeah, well, I don't know how well off I am now. I ended up buying this place. This is where we rented when he was here. We rented it then because there was no other place in this town to get. I mean, they just had no rent homes. And what rent houses was available, all the Comanche Peak nuclear power plant workers took over. I mean, they were all full. And this one came open, and so we moved here. I mean, he could have built me a house. He could have bought some property and built me a house, but he didn't plan on staying here. But still, if you're going to be in a place for 40 years, 30 years even, he planned to be on this job till he retired, so he could have built a house and then sold it when we left. He did go around and look at a few that were already built, but we didn't like them, didn't like the price, so we didn't buy them. So he just finally said, well, the heck with it. Well, he could have bought property and built a house. Built something we wanted, not what somebody else was trying to get rid of. Oh well. That's all over and done with. Don't think about that anymore. Yeah, me, myself, and I. I only have to ask myself if I can do something. And only argue with myself if I go do it. Yeah, I've been here since we moved here in February of 1978. We rented a trailer, a mobile home over in the next subdivision when we first got here. But we knew the people that lived here, and they had a better yard, and it was a better house than what we were renting over there. So they decided to leave because they didn't like Texas. They decided they were going to leave the nuclear power plant out here, go back to North Carolina, and he was going to go back to work there because they didn't like living here. So we knew they were going to move out, and this house was, like I said, better than the one we had over there. So we moved in this one and rented it up till my husband left and we got a divorce. And then I rented it still for another year or so. And then I ended up buying it because the owner had called me one night and said he had to file bankruptcy and he had to sell the property. Did I want to buy it? And I said, well, give me time to go to the bank and see what I can do, and I'll give you a call back. So I went to the bank the next day, got the loan approved. The lady come out here, looked at the place, and approved the loan. I called him back the next night, and I said, well, it's sold. We just got to sign the papers. And I've been here ever since. But we lived over there in that house till November. Because I moved in this house on Thanksgiving Day. I literally took my turkey, brought it over here, put it in the stove, and it was baking while we were moving in. So I'll never forget that. It was Thanksgiving Day we moved in here of 1978. And I've lived in this house ever since. That's been a long time. Because, like I said, I ended up buying it. There was no other house around that was in as good a shape as this one was then, for the price this one was. So I just stayed here. I thought about going back to North Carolina at that point. My kids didn't want to go because my daughter was almost ready to graduate from high school. My son was only a little over a year old when we moved here. So Granbury was his home. He didn't remember living anywhere else. He only got to see his grandparents once a year when we went home on vacation, or when my mom would come out here maybe once every couple of years or so. So I let them talk me into staying. I said, well, I don't have a job back there to go to now at this point. And I didn't know what was going to happen if I went back there either. So I said, we try it, see what happens. If we don't like it after a while, we can leave. And we've just been here. What more can I say? We've just been here. And now, like I said, my daughter has a really nice home up in Vista Ranch. It's on the outskirts of Fort Worth. My son lives down in Hillsboro. He has a nice home and property down there. So they'll never leave Texas. And I guess I'll be here till I die. I don't know. We don't know what the future brings. I said I was never coming to Texas, and I'm here. So I'm not going to say I'm never going to do anything anymore, because that usually is what I end up doing. And you know what? I'm getting so hungry, my belly's pinching. I got to get off of here and start fixing me some dinner. I don't know what it is here lately. I don't know if I'm not eating as much as I did at one time or what it is. But around meal times, all of a sudden my stomach starts, I get this pinchy feeling. Like it's telling me I'm empty, I need food. Mahola, April. I'm sure I didn't say that correctly. Don't say that you're gonna live. Don't. I don't understand that one. I don't need cookies. I need food. I need food. And you know, for many years, my ex, he accused me of running around on him. And I never did. I was at school ball games and school functions with my kids when he was out hunting, or when he was working late, or he was God knows where. I was with my kids doing stuff. But yet he accused me of it constantly. And that's what a lot of arguments was over, him accusing me of running around on him. And I never did. The whole time we were married, I never did. Never saw another man. But I realized people told me it was because it was his guilty conscience. He knew what he was doing, so he was putting the blame on me. And they say that's what all of them do. When you're the spouse that's doing the cheating, you right away accuse the other one of doing it. That's called gaslighting. I've never heard it called that. They usually accuse you of what they themselves are doing. Yeah. Unfortunately. And unfortunate, my son and my daughter had to see a lot of the arguments and the physical stuff that went on, because he did get physical. He hit me several times and I never did fight back. It was the day that I took all I was going to take from him and I finally fought back that he packed his crap up and left. I come home from the kids' ball game the next day. We drove up in the driveway. His company truck, his personal truck, the boat and trailer, the three-wheeler, everything was gone. Come in the house, the TV was gone. Part of the furniture was gone. Everything he owned was gone. He had one of his workers come home with him to drive one of his pickups. See, he drove a personal truck, and then he had a company pickup that the company he worked for at the plant supplied for him, because he was one of the big boss men. He's one of the gold hats, as they call it. Well, he had one of his workers come home with him to help him load his crap up in the two trucks and the trailer. And so he'd be able to drive one off and the worker drive the other one off for him to take it where he was going. And from my understanding, he drove it to his girlfriend's. He ended up renting a motel room or something for a few days, and then he ended up moving in with his girlfriend, I think. The one he married and divorced in 3 months. Yeah, I know, when you're in an abusive relationship like that, it's bad enough to be mentally abusive, but when you're mentally and physical abusive, women don't need to stay in that marriage. My neighbor's daughter, who is about the same age as my daughter, and it was their only child, she moved to Oklahoma, got married. She's got 2 kids. She never once let her mom and dad know here that he was being physical with her, beating her up all the time. I mean, not just hitting her, he was beating her up to the point he was putting her in the hospital. She'd been in and out of the hospital several times because he hurt her so bad. The last time she was in the hospital, he hit her in the head with something so many times. That's what caused her death. She finally left him when she come home from the hospital. He wouldn't let her take the kids. He told her he'd kill her if she took the kids. So she left. She came here to Granbury, stayed with her parents until her flight left, and she was going to fly to Hawaii, and she was going to start her new life over there away from him. And it was the flight over there that killed her after the beating that he gave her, because it caused her to hemorrhage in her head, in her brain and everything, and that's what killed her. That was during the COVID scare, and they kept everybody in the airport in Hawaii quarantined for 14 days before you could leave the airport. And they had booths set up with cots and everything where they could sleep, spend the night. And they noticed after a day or so she didn't come out of that room, that little portable room she was in. So they got some of the security to go there and unlock the door and go in to check on her. And they found her dead. And her eyes were all bloody looking. And it was because she was hemorrhaging. And it was probably the injuries that she suffered before she left, and then getting in that plane and flying that distance for that length of time with the pressure in the cabin that you feel, that caused her to hemorrhage like that. And I have not seen them since they told me about it, her parents. But they told me that if they found out that that is what caused her to die, was the fact that he had beat her up so bad, and then that flight killed her after the beating, that they were going to file charges on him for murder or whatever they could file charges on him for, because he was the cause of her death. I mean, that was a young lady, left 2 kids, She was an only child, and it left her parents with no one. And they also said that if they found out that that is, which they felt 100% sure it was, that they were going to file for custody of those two children, because he was not fit to have them. And I don't know if they ever got him or not. I've not run into him in town or anything since. So I don't know if they went up there to take care of all that, or if they're here and they got the kids, or what's going on. I just don't know. But it's heartbreaking. And when I told my daughter about it, I said, "You're not going to believe that Lisa died because she had been beat so many times by her husband, that I know that's what killed her." And she was working with a group of people that were working with abused women to get them out of their abusive situation so they didn't die. But she stayed too long. She should have told her parents what was going on a long time ago, and she should not have put up with her husband's crap as long as she did. And I told my two kids, I said, I started fighting back. He got hurt too, because I know how to fight, even though I kept backing off and letting him do whatever. Finally, when I started fighting back, he knew he was going to get hurt. So he packed up and left. He knew that was the end. And I told my kids it's a good thing he left, because somebody was going to die. I said he was going to kill me, or he'd get me so mad I'd end up killing him. And I didn't want that to happen. You know, especially the way he did it with the kids watching all these arguments and stuff. Kids don't need to see that between their parents. Yeah, I said that was so sad that she was out there helping other abused women when she was an abused woman herself, and she should have listened to herself, and she should have got herself out of that situation, and she'd still be alive today. I know her mother didn't know anything about it. She didn't know that her daughter had been beat up so bad by her husband that she'd been in the hospital several times. I don't think she told her that she had been beat up this time, and that's why she left. She just told her she got fed up with it and she was done. And she left. She didn't tell her she just got out of the hospital. So with those head injuries, she had no business of flying anywhere. And if she'd have asked the doctor, or if the doctor had any idea that she had intentions of flying anywhere, he probably would have told her, "No, you don't fly right now. You wait till you heal before you get in an airplane." But nobody knew, you know. Her doctor didn't know she was going to do that when she got out. She didn't know it would hurt her to fly after those injuries. Her parents didn't know even about the injuries, much less what it could do if she got in the plane to fly. So, yeah, it's sad. I hated it. And the worst part about it, about even losing your child, she never got to see Lisa again. Because during COVID, they would not ship Lisa's body back to the States. They cremated her body in Hawaii before they would send her ashes back, because it was during the COVID lockdown. So she never even got to see her daughter at a funeral. You know, she never got to see her the last time. And that's really sad. But in a way, that might be a good thing. She got to remember her happy, smiling, getting on the plane to leave and to start a new life. She doesn't remember her laying in a casket. You know, and that's not the way I want to remember anyone either. Oh my God, I cannot imagine what her dad would have done if he'd have known beforehand that Lisa had been beaten so many times, so badly. He probably would have drove to Oklahoma and brought his daughter back here He would not have let her stay up there. I have every idea in this world that man would have drove to Oklahoma to get his daughter. And her husband would be lucky to be alive when he left, because I know those people. Yeah, it's bad. I mean, but when your husband threatens to kill you if you try to take your kids and leave, you don't really know what to do. And there finally, when she decided she was leaving after the last time he beat her up, and it did put her in the hospital. I mean, not just to the emergency room, she was in the hospital with her injuries. Uh, After knowing he was going to kill her if she tried to leave with the kids, she just figured, well, I'll leave. I'll pack my things. I'll just leave. Leave the kids with him temporarily. Maybe I can get my kids later. And I'm sure if she'd ever filed charges on him for assault, she would have had no problem getting her kids. I don't think a judge is going to leave kids with a dad that's in the habit of abusing his wife so badly that he beats her up and puts her in the hospital numerous times. And I don't think any judge would leave kids with a dad that caused his wife to die because of the beating that she suffered. When the grandparents filed to get custody of them. Because he definitely doesn't need to be raising those kids. What if later on he takes out abuse and physical abuse on the kids, Lisa's not there to be the punching bag. Well, he's got the 2 kids there he can use. I wouldn't leave them. And if I'd have known I had a daughter that was in an abusive relationship like that, he caused her death, there's no way he'd keep those kids. He might have to die. Well, I'll take that back. I'm not going to kill anybody, but you know what I mean. I mean, no grandparent is going to leave their grandchildren with a man that caused their mother to die, that he physically beat her up so bad that she was in and out of the hospital to the point that it caused her death. I don't think there's anybody in the world that would leave 2 kids with a father like that. Not in their right minds, they wouldn't. Yep, it's scary. Shotgun time. Yeah, she just didn't want to tell her family that was going on. As far as they knew, everything was fine. They didn't know she had been in and out of the hospital. She didn't tell them. And nobody here around this area knew about it. She didn't tell any of her friends that would get back to this area. Her friends probably in Oklahoma knew. His parents probably knew. But of course, they're not going to say anything about their son. You know how that goes. Doesn't matter how bad he is, they're going to take up for him. But I know my son, he would never hit a woman. He said, Mama, I saw Daddy be so abusive and all that. And he said, I swore a long time ago I'd never raise my hand to a woman. And he never has. I've seen him get so frustrated he'd hit the wall. And that wasn't because he was mad at me or anything. He was in a car accident when he was 14. I think she was 15 with his little girlfriend. They were with some other friends. And the car went off a curve and hit a concrete culvert. The car flipped over end, and his little girlfriend died. And he went through a lot of emotional trauma after that. He'd get so mad sometimes he'd try to put his fist through the wall. And I told him, son, I said, you're going to break your hand. I said, you might dent the door, but you're not going to hurt it. You're going to break your hand. Yeah, so I had to get him through a lot of that stuff. I mean, it was bad. He loved that little girl to death. And she was a sweetheart. It was an accident that should never have happened. But then, you know, there's a lot of accidents out there should not have taken place. Well, I didn't tell my parents at first. But later on, I finally did. But most of the time when he would come home, he'd fuss and cuss and holler and throw stuff and that type of thing. He wouldn't actually hit me. But then there at the last, it finally got so he would come home and he picked up the surveying tape measure he had. I mean, it was a huge one, bigger than anything I use. And he hit me upside the head with it. He hit me so hard it knocked me flat on my back on the floor and everything turned black. And he knelt down. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, you know, you kill somebody, it don't help to say you're sorry later. But it was after then that I started fighting back. I said, I'm not taking it. I mean, I've spent all day on a Friday cleaning house just for him to come home and take the supper that was sitting on the stove waiting for him and throw it all over the house. Stuff like that. But anyway, it's over with. I don't want to bore you people with stuff I went through. It's over and done with. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. Yeah, I guess you don't want people to know that your husband treats you like that. You know, I mean, you didn't get married to a person because they were abusive. That's for sure, you know. Until this day, he'll tell you that he never did any of that. That's one reason I told him we didn't have nothing to talk about. Anybody that could do that kind of abusive stuff to a person and then deny ever doing it, claim they never did it, they don't remember doing it, I don't want nothing to do with them. Because that just leads me to know you don't remember you did it and you will do it again. If he'd at least been man enough to admit what he had done over the years and how much he had done, if he'd have at least owned up to doing it and apologized for it and said things would be different, I may have considered listening to him. But when he denied it all, no. My kids know better because they saw it. Yeah, say they never did anything like that. They never hit me, never hit you, never did this, never did that, when you know good and well they're lying. Yeah, I don't want nothing to do with someone that's going to lie about the stuff they did like that. But I hope this helps anybody, maybe some silent listeners, silent viewers that don't get in chat that watch this video. If you're in an abusive relationship, once it gets physical, honey, pack your bags and leave. Don't wait till that man kills you. He ain't worth it. I promise you, he's not worth it. Oh my goodness, Annie. Picked you up and threw you through the closet door. Yeah, I'd be good to talk to women, any women that are in abusive relationships. It's bad enough when it's mentally abusive, because they can do a lot of damage just being mentally abusive to a person. They can make you feel worthless. They make you feel like you don't want to go do anything or be with anybody or anything because you're not worth being with. And that's wrong. That's bad abusive right there. But when it gets physical and abusive and mentally abusive, it's time to pack your bags and get out. Don't wait like she did until it was too late. I mean, she may have been okay if she just had not have gotten in that airplane and flew anywhere, or she may not have been. It may not even have taken that plane flight for her to start hemorrhaging after the injuries that she suffered. You never know. Oh my God. So what I say, hit the road, Jack. I remember my parents talking about this lady. She was a little tiny lady, not much shorter than me, probably about my size. And she was married to this like 6'5" guy. He'd come home and tear the house up, be physically abusive to her. And I don't know how many years she stayed married to him. But she waited one night. He come home drunk. He passed out on their four-poster bed. You know what a four-poster is? It's got the post at each corner. He passed out from alcohol on that bed that night. She took rope. She tied his feet and his hands to the post on that bed to where he couldn't get up. He couldn't move. She went through that house. She got everything that he'd ever hit her with, and she proceeded to beat the daylights out of him tied up. And when she got too tired to hit him anymore, she grabbed her bags that she'd already packed, and she left him tied to the bed. I said, good for you, lady. Yeah, could you imagine this 6'5" guy sprawled out on this four-poster bed, and he's got his wrists tied to the each corner of the bed, got his feet, ankles tied to the foot of the bed, and just walked out and left him there. I wonder how long he stayed there before somebody found him and untied him. I bet that was something when he finally woke up and he was tied to that bed. Can you imagine? Exactly. You don't change a person. They're what they are. It doesn't matter what you do, what you train them to do. You can't train them. Because it's something they were born with. It's just their makeup. That's just the type of person they are. The only thing you can do is get away from them. Just like this guy that I dated. He had been in prison several times. And even after I dated him for a while, he ended up back in prison. He was off with some other people. He ended up back in prison. And my son said one time, he said, Mom, he said, you seem to think a lot of him. And he's older now. He's probably not that way anymore. He probably has been out of jail for a long time. He's probably not going back. I said, oh no. A dog does not change their spots. I'm sorry. That man will never get a chance with me. Yep, there's only one person that can change him. And I doubt they're going to let him do it. Because as long as they deny doing what they do, there's no hope for them. You finally got to admit you've done wrong and repent for your sins that you did to ever even hope to be any different. Well, my daughter's married to a 6'5" muscle builder. But he's a teddy bear. He's a sweetheart. I don't think he's got an abusive, mean body in him. He used to be a body guard to the Bass family in Fort Worth. That's what he was when my daughter met him. Yeah, the last time I knew anything about how much he weighed, he said he weighed 320 pounds, and he was pure muscle. Most of the time he had to get his jeans made special or get them from this one certain shop because the muscles in his thighs were so big. He couldn't go buy a pair of blue jeans off a rack and even get them up on his legs. They were too tight. And his shirts were about the same way. I mean, a big, tall guy, it's hard for them to buy clothes anyway unless you go to a big and tall shop. But when you're really muscular like that, it's even harder. I don't know what size shoe he wore. I don't think he ever said. But he's a big guy. But he works out a lot, you know. He stays fit. They've got a gym in their house. He stayed fit, you know, to be a bodyguard. I mean, one look at him and you knew you didn't want to mess with him. Your son and grandsons are all big and tall, huh? Oh, my son is not that tall because his dad was not really that tall. I think his dad was like 5'9", maybe 5'10". And Chad, he's about the same. He's about 5'9", something like that. Maybe 5'10", I don't know. But he's not a tall man. Now, my daughter, she's tall for a girl. She's like 5'7", 5'8", maybe. I don't know. She's taller than I am. Several inches taller than me. Well, I don't want to cut short, but we've been on here for, 2 hours. Oh, my goodness. I got to talking and forgot about the time. Oh, my Lordy. But some of these abusive women need to watch this live replay. You're 5'4". Well, I'm about 5'2". If I stretch real hard, I might hit 5'3", something like that. And my mom was not as tall as me. My grandmother was even shorter than her. My grandmother on my dad's side was only like, she was under 5 feet. My Aunt Gladys that I was talking about or my Aunt Lois that found the snake in her bed, she was less than 5 feet. And she had such small feet, she had to go to the little girls' department to buy shoes to fit. Because there was nothing in the ladies' shoe size that was small enough to fit her feet. But anyway, I appreciate all of you coming into my live chat today. I've enjoyed it. I got on some topics I really didn't mean to get on, but maybe it'll help somebody that's in an abusive relationship. You know, it starts getting physical. Pack your bags, honey, and get out. Don't wait. Don't die because of him. Don't let it go that far. Just get out. Start a new life. Forget he's even there because he's not worth it. Yeah, you shouldn't take crap. Nobody should. Saving this for someone I know. Good. Well, y'all have a blessed night. Tell everybody that you know that hasn't subscribed or watched my videos to subscribe, watch, and like my videos. Y'all have a blessed evening. Love all of you. Love you for subscribing to my channel. And I'll see you on my next one. Bye. Love all of you.